Thank you for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. Make sure to follow us on social media and check out the many other videos on this channel about working with and advising student organizations. And now, please enjoy your workshop.
Hello, Kako, Mahalo nui. Thank you so very much for joining as I talk about how we at Drew University are creating a virtual club leader training program. And my name is Makana, and I serve as the Associate Director of Student Engagement here at Drew University. By the end of this presentation, there are two major goals that I hope we can accomplish. The first is to understand the benefit of why we decided to do a virtual club leader training program. And the second is to understand the process we went through in creating this program. It is important to say that this initiative is still in development. We are planning to begin this process of offering this virtual club leader training curriculum in the spring of 2021, but we've had initial conversations with student leaders, with faculty and administrators, and there's been overwhelmingly positive excitement around this opportunity. And if folks are interested in hearing updates or seeing the assessments that come from this initiative at the end of next semester, feel free to reach out to me. My information will be at the end of this presentation. I think before we talk about the benefits and how we came to create this curriculum, I do want to talk about who we are at Drew University, because I think understanding our institutional identity is going to be helpful in you understanding why this system will work for us and help you think about how you might need to shift your approach depending on your institution. Drew University is a small liberal arts university, and we have around roughly 1,600 students. Most of them are residential. We have a few hundred who are commuter students. We have over 60 active student organizations, and the department that supports our student organizations is the Office of Student Engagement, which focuses on three functional areas: student activities, residence life, and housing. And members of our team have different roles in each of those functional areas. For example, as one of the associate directors, I oversee club life. I oversee some of our larger student organizations, such as our Residence Hall Association and our Budgets and Organizations Board, which is similar to whatever board you have at your institution that approves and oversees the finances for all of your clubs. I also oversee several of our residence halls and also support different aspects of our curriculum here at Drew University. We offer a collaborative club oversight process similar to what you probably have between our clubs and us as administrators, where our clubs do fall under student government. There is a budget and organizations board made of student leaders who oversee the budget. And as administrators, we really serve as advisors and also in supporting students in navigating the policy and procedures that we have here at Drew University. And we also do require our student leaders to attend different trainings and events. Given that we are in a pandemic, we have transitioned from requiring students to be in person, attending an event virtually, to more of a asynchronous approach where if you can't attend the Zoom meeting, we'll send you the recording and we ask you to watch it and respond back afterwards. So the structure of how we came to think about this virtual club leader training program really came from the model that I saw that really popular online courses utilize, such as edX. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, there was a lot of focus on this online course being offered around happiness. And a lot of people were going to this course. It was really great. It was free. It was accessible to everybody. And I really liked the idea of how these online courses structure and thinking about how can we offer that to our club leaders here at Drew. And so we focused on creating these several domains, and I'll go over those in the future, that focused on skills and knowledge development that we thought were important to different club leaders in general. But also, we wanted to think about, well, what are certain skills and knowledges that certain people might need because of their position? For example, a treasurer would probably need more specialized training on budgeting, how to do a funding request, how to process a purchase. And so we wanted to create videos that are also pertaining to different club leaders, as well as being a general support as well. We are thinking of utilizing our Engage software, which is part of the Anthology suite, I believe. We call it the Path, which is where our student leaders engage with one another to be able to run this club leader training program. We have utilized are these online curriculum systems to our Engage software in the past with our virtual orientations, as well as with a certificate program with one of our other departments. And so we're excited to see if this is one way that we can really successfully implement this club leader training program with our students. And also the benefit is that the software that we use for Engage is already what our club leaders use. So being able to not have to overcomplicate and add a new software for club leaders to use could be beneficial. Finally, well, not necessarily finally, but something that we're really trying to focus on is having our videos be 10 minutes or less with each area. So for example, while we might have multiple videos for our treasurer, we're hoping that each one of those videos, again, that video on budgeting, that video on doing a purchase request, that they're less than 10 minutes. So that way students can watch one video, maybe during a break, leave, or if they wanted to, they could watch all 3 or 4 videos in a module at one time. It's really putting the ownership with the student how they want to go through the program. And also offering supplemental resources. So if we're talking about budgeting, we're also offering an example budget template for them to utilize. And this is actually the final point for this slide. We're thinking of how do we utilize this to help to certify that students are getting those trainings. So using Engage, we're actually able to see which club leader has gone through what module. So we're able to see, oh, the treasurer for this club hasn't been able to finish our training. Let's do some follow-up to check in and see how they're doing. And also, given that there is a lot of information in the entirety of this curriculum, we want to award students who go through this entire program because they're going to be able to say that they have a strong foundational knowledge around leadership and skill bases that are helpful in any field. So the real reasons why we wanted to create this virtual training was number one, being mindful of the shift in the role that administrators are doing. I recognize that, especially now, that it is becoming difficult to manage the different roles and responsibilities that folks will have. And being able to do a 1-hour workshop once a month, every other week in the past may not be a sustainable model or a healthy model moving forward. And so we wanted to create a system that is mindful of that. Also, being mindful of our students. At your university, for our club leaders, it is not a surprise if our club leaders are club leaders in multiple clubs, if they have another major or minor, if they're involved in theater or the arts, or they have an off-campus job, they're heavily involved. And I remember doing trainings where students would be rushing in with their dinners. And while I'm happy that they felt comfortable to eat, I also worry, are we asking too much of our students and putting too much on them? And so I wanted to be mindful of our student schedules and also their preference. Maybe what is best for their timing isn't what's best for our timing, and vice versa. I also wanted to focus on this idea of transferable skills and micro-learning. I am guilty of, when I was asked to do an hour-long training with student leaders, I wanted to make sure that that time was purposeful and not seen as a waste. And so there were times where I might feel that I am obligated to put more and more content into a training to fill that 1 hour and to make it look like or sound like we accomplished as much as we could. But that might not be the best way of learning. If we're going through all that, it might make it difficult to focus on what actually is the focus. It takes away from focusing on one thing at a time. And so a virtual asynchronous training model really allows us to focus on one skill at a time, one knowledge base, focus on developing it, watching a video, looking at resources, and then moving on to the next when you're ready to do that. And finally, this approach allowed us to facilitate a community approach to learning. And you'll see what I mean by this in our team of people who were part of this project. But this project really transformed from being one person creating all the videos and doing all the trainings to many different people at our institution recording videos, and they're not going to be seen as people presenting, which I think really helps to connect folks to our community better. So the first step in the process that we did for this project was, of course, to brainstorm what we want to do. And so we thought of the different training domains, or the different key areas we wanted to focus on. And one of them was leadership and strategic skills. This could be considered, how do you manage a meeting? how to do conflict management, public speaking tips, and then we also wanted to talk about event planning. Given that our club leaders plan numerous events that at very different scales, we wanted to make sure that students felt prepared to do this as well as they could. Third training domain was an organization and structure, where we focused more on how are you updating your constitution, how are you organizing your executive board, how do you engage with your executive board and with your members differently, and finally, what's this idea of member development? How are you engaging with your members on a routine basis? How are you connecting with your alums to keep them engaged in your organization? Or how are you developing your members so that they one day could be exec members on your board? Now, when you look at these training domains, you might see a gap, and that gap is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And for me, I'm a strong believer that that work needs to be incorporated into every aspect of our jobs. And so I have been working with our different presenters to incorporate diversity, equity, inclusion training into every domain, every module, every video, because I believe that if this is truly a foundation of our work, it needs to be everywhere. So for example, in our budgeting module, we talked to students about thinking of being mindful of putting more money towards purchasing other sizes of clothing items, being mindful of different body types, or potentially putting a little bit more money towards planning to purchase biodegradable items instead of plasticware. For event planning, reminding students to be mindful of the mobility of a room, or potentially if you're a student organization that plans trips and asks students to pay for different fees, being mindful of, do you have a scholarship fund to be able to support those students? And of course, we do offer diversity, equity, inclusion trainings throughout the semester. Some of them are in-person virtual trainings, but I really do want to make sure that we're talking about these concepts as much as we can, wherever we can, because it is important. Number two was creating the team to create this curriculum. And I was deeply appreciative and honored to be able to work with a lot of different people. One of the folks at the very beginning of this was a graduate assistant from one of our partnering universities of Rutgers, where they were able to work with us on really developing the foundation and the domains and the basic module we wanted to produce. After that, we reached out to a few student leaders, seeing if they wanted to create videos, and they accepted very excitedly. And not only that, there were certain student leaders who said, not only do I want to make this video, can I help you more? Can I offer to help you organize it? Can I reach out to more people to present? Can we partner with XYZ as well to create videos? And it was really exciting to see students taking such ownership over this project. We also have a paid student employee who oversees or assists with overseeing Club Life, and they're helping with the marketing campaign for this initiative. And we also have different university administrators and faculty who are helping to create the content for certain videos, such as on event planning and conflict management. And I'm very honored to have their expertise as well in this process. After that, it began the process of project management. Now, thinking that we have 4 large domains with 5 to 10 videos in each, managing the creation of 40 different videos and how they connect, and then connecting those to supplemental resources can be a little much. And so I think it's really important to have a strong project management skill set. And I think there are a few strategies that I utilize that could be beneficial if you're thinking of trying to utilize this project as well. The first strategy, which should I think come as no surprise to anybody, would be organization. So using tools to really stay organized. For example, you can use Google Spreadsheets or Trello, you can use Google Drive in general, but there's really great ways that you can stay organized in this kind of project. For example, what we did was create different Google Drive folders where there was one key folder that focused on everything for this curriculum, and then we had mini folders within that folder. So we had a folder on the outline that we made on every video. We had a folder for every video. We had a folder for the supplemental resources that would support the videos. And then we had this master spreadsheet where we had every video, who was making the video, and then updates on where that video was in its timeline. Number 2 is meet with your presenters and make a plan of action afterwards. So I usually met with our presenters usually around 2 or 3 times this semester. And we always ended our meetings with next steps of How would you like me to follow up with you? What are your goals before our next meeting? And then I would follow up accordingly and then offer support. For some of our students, they wanted to meet with me more regularly so that they can really practice their material and give any feedback. For some of our faculty and administrators, they might have requested more time to create drafts or videos because of the transition to virtual space. And so we were accommodating and supportive to all of our stakeholders. Next is it's really important, in my opinion, to really trust your content experts and remember what your roles in this entire process. For me, I wanted to make sure that I was offering structure to folks. So again, being that person to follow up, reminding folks of the deadlines of when things are hoping to be done, but also providing insights that might help them. So for example, our students, faculty, and administrators who are creating specialized videos, they're that content expert, but maybe I can offer advice on how we can assess this video or offering insight on how we might be able to change how the video is shown to make it more accessible to other folks. And then also it's important to keep a record of everything. For me, when I was using Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets and Google Slides, I never wanted to just cancel everything out. I usually would use the strike through feature, or I would copy and paste it to somewhere else. Or if there was a video that we were no longer going to use, I would put it in a holding folder just in case we do want to use it, because it's really important to be flexible, especially when you're creating something at this larger scale and is in an asynchronous way, is that you never know what actually might change. So for example, there was a few videos we made, and as we made the videos and we went through them the first time, we realized this is not the way we want to show this information. This is not accessible. This is not going to be what students want. So let's transition this material into a different format. And it was sad that we put in the time and work to create this video, realizing that this is not actually the best way of doing it, but at least we had that material that we can transition that into a guide, or we can transition this into a beautiful graphic. And I would much rather know that this is not the way to move forward, but this is a good foundation for the knowledge, and then create something that is really going to be beneficial for our students. And that is where we are now in the process. So right now we're finalizing our videos, and we are hoping to begin the marketing for this with our clubs starting next month. And we're hoping to start this program next semester. And even though we're starting next semester and we do have some supplemental resources created, as I mentioned, like that example for how to plan a budget, we have the policies and procedures drafted for our event policies for next semester. We have different forms and emails that club leaders can literally copy and paste to send to alums to support the alumni engagement. We are going to continue to develop these resources over the academic year, because the beauty of a virtual asynchronous model is we can get feedback instantaneously and then update that almost immediately. Previously, if we did a workshop, we would probably update it immediately, but we might send it out to people as an update presentation, but we would really have to wait till that next year or next month that we redid that workshop to really remind people of this. But now we're really able to provide content that's updated and quick and present really quickly. And that is all that I have to share. Mahalo nui. Thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video. I truly do hope that this was beneficial in helping you learn about what we're doing here at Drew University in regards to creating an online virtual curriculum for our club leaders. I hope that this is beneficial even in regards to thinking about project management of large-scale initiatives. But if you do want to connect and learn more, here is my full name, Makana A.L. Akawili. You can use this to connect with me on LinkedIn. And below is my email, makawili@drew.edu. I am more than happy and honored to connect, to talk more about this, or even just to connect and talk about how we can partner in the future. I am deeply appreciative of your time, and I wish you the very best moving forward. Aloha and take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. If you're watching this live, feel free to reference the schedule for the day and use the link in the schedule to access a Q&A room where you can ask questions or chat with the presenters from this workshop. If they didn't list a Q&A link, or you're watching this video after the event, thank you for your interest in the Student Organization Summit.